Let's talk about the letter you sent to the governor.
Yep.
And the results you hope from that.
Well, I sent a letter to the governor last week, and he received it last Thursday. I know because I sent it certified mail. And my hopes is that with the drug issue now being resolved, because it had been tied up in court, in federal court, and now that it has been resolved and they have a new drug protocol, it is our hope that the governor now will issue a request for that drug to be ordered. So once the Department of Corrections receives that drug to where they can start executions again, then they would allow the Attorney General, Mark Burnrich, to send a request to the Arizona Supreme Court to issue a warrant of execution. And once that warrant is issued, then that warrant is sent to the governor. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that the governor has 35 days in which to issue a execution date. That date can be set anywhere from 2 months out to 18 months. So we're closer now than ever.
Is there an argument for Atwood to be among the first?
On our part, there is, yes.
Yeah, we would hope that he is one of the first.
Yeah.
You know, I think our case is the second oldest case on death row. And the oldest case was a crime out of Phoenix in 1983. And our case was in 1984. Our hope is that the execution he'll be one of the top 5, if not the first. That would be a blessing for us, and it would bring some closure to our family.
Do you want to be a witness at the execution?
That'll be determined at the time. You know, I have mixed feelings about it. I don't feel it's necessary for me to be there. All I really need to know is that he's gone, and that we are free at last, and that Vicki has finally gotten the justice that she deserves.
Now, if you could communicate with Atwood, number one, would you? And what would you say if you did?
Well, first of all, I don't think I would want to communicate with him because he has been defiant from the very beginning and will be defiant to the end. But what I would say to him would be a man. Have the courage and have just
The guts to
the
stand
guts.
to admit.
You know, 12 jurors found you guilty. The United States Supreme Court has upheld your case twice. At least accept the sentence that you were given. Have enough as a human being to say to our family that you're sorry, and to at least quit being so defiant and evil.
Describing his behavior as you have, he could easily slap out at you one last time with his last words?
Oh yes, and I would expect that. I would expect him to tell me I'm number one with a finger gesture. But you know what? We had the last laugh. I sure wouldn't want to be Frank Atwood when he does die, because that is when he will really answer to our God for what he has done to one of his children. And to me, that is real justice right there.
I think that will do it, but sometimes people just want to add something. Is there anything you want to add that we just didn't have to ask or touch on?
No, not really. It's just
It's so hard. You think
Yeah.
about things, you know, and
because we're talking about a long span of time here, you know, with a bunch of feelings, and
you know, he's a coward. He's a coward.
I think things have kind of brightened up in the last couple of weeks since
It's given us hope.
given us hope. Yeah,
He's run his appeals.
Yes.
yeah.
And, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not evil people wishing death on anyone. But this man, he murdered our daughter. He murdered our daughter. We know what he did to her. He deserves to die. She wasn't his only victim. and you know, it's his time. Enough is enough. The taxpayers of this state have spent enough money housing him. That I am thankful for, because he could not harm another child. That I'm thankful for. I would not want another family to have to go through what our family has gone through with Frank Jarvis Atwood and his games. I'm not a game player. I'm a pretty black and white person. You know, it's either, you know, it's here or there. You know, law-abiding citizen. We don't use excuses. He chose to commit the crime. He must suffer the consequences.
And I think that's one reason why the death penalty doesn't work, is because they're allowed so many appeals. They can stretch it out as long as they want. He's gotten 32 years
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah. And that's I would have loved to have had 35 more years with Vicki.
Yeah.
You know, she never even had the chance to live to her full potential. But yet she made such a difference in her short life.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you know, we're just ready for closure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to prosecutors who have said that in some cases they've conferred with families and said that if they go for the death penalty, the appeal will be so hard on you, maybe you would prefer to just have something in life.
Well, you know, Craig, the reason why we didn't go for life, because in 1984, life was 25 years in the state of Arizona. So Atwood would be a free man, and I can guarantee you he would have reoffended.
Oh.
Guaranteed he would have reoffended. So that is why we had no choice really but to go for the death penalty, because to think of this person being out, he would have been out 10 years ago. 10 years ago. That's how many children would it have had to taken